She stands at the entrance of the silent hall, where flowers tremble in the soft breath of morning, and every seat waits with a strange stillness, as if the world itself is holding its breath for her alone. Yet not alone, she lifts the picture frame, in both hands pressing it briefly against her heart, and in that single motion, the past and present blur into one long, aching moment. She takes one step forward, then another, her dress whispering across the floor like a memory reborn in everyone. Rises slowly, confused at first, then moved beyond words, for they see she is walking down the aisle, not beside the man she once dreamed would be waiting, but holding the image of him, as though he is still here, as though he never left, as though love can stand where a person no longer can. The air thickens around her, carrying the weight of every promise they once made in the quiet places no one else ever knew. She remembers the way he used to brush her hair back with gentle fingertips, telling her that her eyes look like the sky after rain, when the world feels clean and open and full of promise. She remembers how he tried to hide his fear on the nights he thought she was asleep, whispering to the darkness that he was not sure he had enough time, whispering that he wanted a lifetime but would take whatever he was given if it meant he could spend it with her. She remembers the day she first heard the word that broke their world, and how he held her hand with a smile that tried to be brave while his voice trembled like a fragile branch in a winter storm. Now, with every step, she takes the sound of her heartbeat, echoes through the hall, each beat carrying a wave of memories. The night he told her he loved her for the first time, standing beneath a sky lit with distant stars, the two of them wrapped in a blanket of dreams and hopes too large to name. The afternoon he told her not to worry when the doctor looked at them with solemn eyes. The soft summer morning when he sat beside her and said he did not fear leaving this world, but he feared leaving her behind. She walks slowly with the picture glinting in the soft light, wanting to believe that he is still here, somehow walking with her, breathing beside her, whispering to her that this is not the end of their story. She reaches the middle of the aisle, and her breath catches for a moment as she sees the empty space at the altar where he should have been. His tie would have been slightly crooked because he always rushed to get ready, his shoes polished but unevenly because he kept missing spots, his hair touched with a rebellious strand that refused to obey. She imagines him standing there, waiting with that half smile he used to give only her, a smile that said he was nervous but ready, a smile that said he loved her more than anything. She feels her knees weaken, but she steadies herself with the picture, pressing her fingers against the edges of the frame as if holding it tightly enough will prevent the world from collapsing. People watch her with eyes full of sorrow and awe, no one daring to interrupt this sacred walk that feels like both a farewell and a promise. She moves forward, letting the weight of her grief shape each step, letting the love that never faded guide her. The music is soft, a trembling melody that rises and falls like a heart, learning how to beat again after being shattered. And in that fragile melody, she hears echoes of their past, the way he used to hum while cooking, the way he sang off key to make her laugh, the way he whispered her name when the nights were long and his strength was fading. She reaches the end of the aisle and stands before the altar, the picture of him shining under the gentle glow of morning light. She imagines his hands reaching out to hold hers, warm and solid and full of life. She imagines the warmth of his breath against her forehead as he leaned down to kiss her, before promising forever. She imagines his laughter, the sound that once filled every quiet corner of her world and now lingers only in memory. She feels a tremor run through her chest, but she lifts her chin, wanting to stand tall for him, wanting to show him that she will live the life he wanted for her, even if every breath without him feels like a lesson in learning how to swim after the wave has already taken everything. The officiant looks at her with eyes that shimmer with understanding, but says nothing, for she has asked for no words. Today, only silence, only space, only the echo of love that refuses to die. She turns to face the gathered people, holding the picture close to her heart. She speaks softly, her voice trembling like a leaf touched by wind. She tells them that love is not a promise measured in time, but in presence, in the way someone can fill your world with light, even when their days are limited. She says he was her home, her anchor, her greatest blessing, and that even though he is not here in the way everyone hoped, he is still with her in every breath, every memory, every quiet moment that refuses to fade her. Words fall gently into the air, each one shaped by the tenderness of a heart still learning how to exist in the absence of what it loved most. She talks about their last morning together, the pale sunlight warming his face as he asked her to be brave, the way he squeezed her hand one final time and whispered that she must live her life fully, not in shadows, but in light, the way she deserved. She remembers how she nodded, even though her heart cracked open in that moment, spilling every color of sorrow across her soul. She remembers how he smiled softly, a smile that held both goodbye and forever. Then she looks at the picture again, and for a heartbeat, she feels he might step out of it, take her hand, and walk with her beyond this hall, beyond this day, beyond grief. But she knows better. She knows this is her first step into a world without him, yet a world still touched by him and every place her heart remembers. She kneels gently, placing the picture on the small stand they had prepared, and lays her bouquet. Beside it, the flowers trembling as though they too feel the weight of this moment. She closes her eyes and breathes deeply, letting the silence wrap around her like a tender embrace. In that silence, she sees moments like fragile film scenes flickering across her mind. The first time they danced in the kitchen barefoot and laughing, the way he lifted her hands and placed them over his heart, saying, "This will always be yours." The time he told her he wished he could freeze the world for just a moment so he could memorize her face forever. The quiet nights when they held each other as though clinging to the very pulse of life itself. She feels each memory rise and fall like the tide inside her heart, and she lets them wash over her, holding onto the warmth they bring even as they sting with longing. Then she rises once more, her movements steady and graceful. Though grief still clings to her like a shadow, she holds the picture again, this time against her cheek, letting the cool glass meet her skin as if it can carry a trace of his warmth. She whispers a promise that she will carry him forward in all the days to come, that she will love without fear, that she will live a life worthy of the love they shared. She turns toward the door, ready to walk into a future that feels uncertain and wide and lonely, yet shimmering faintly with hope as she moves. Back down the aisle, the hall feels different, somehow lighter, somehow filled with a sense of quiet blessing. The people watch her with softened faces, their hearts touched by the fierce tenderness of her love. She walks slowly, letting the moment settle into her bones, letting herself breathe, letting herself feel the truth that grief and love are not separate threads, but intertwined in every step she takes. When she reaches the exit, she stops for a moment, looking back. The altar stands bathed in gentle light, the picture of him watching over the space like a guardian of the love they shared. The flowers sway softly as though bowing to their story. She touches the doorframe, lightly drawing one last breath of the hall that held her most fragile truth. Then, with quiet strength, she steps outside into the warm glow of day, where the world feels vast yet somehow newly awake. She walks forward, feeling the breeze brush against her veil, as though carrying a whisper from him. She imagines his voice telling her he is proud of her, telling her she is stronger than she knows, telling her that love never ends. It simply changes shape and continues in ways the heart learns slowly over time. She lets the wind guide her steps, her heart tender but steady, her spirit reaching outward toward whatever comes next. Day stretches before her, full of silence and possibility, full of ache and quiet hope. She holds the picture one last time, then hugs it close, letting herself cry, letting herself breathe, letting herself be human. She knows the road ahead will not be easy, but she also knows she will walk it with the strength he left within her. She will carry him in every sunrise, in every soft moment, and every quiet decision. She will carry him not as loss, but as love, and so she walks into the world with the courage of someone who has known deep sorrow, but also deep love, carrying the memory of the man who once waited for her at the end of an aisle, and who now waits for her in every beat of her heart.